Good evening and welcome back to the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart radio station. My next guest is a fashionista and the executive producer, director, founder of Black Fashion Week, and now author is added to her new title. Please give a Drive at 5 welcome back to the one and only. And again, I just love her voice. The one and only Miss Melody Boykin. Thank you for coming back on the Drive at 5.
You're welcome. Thank you, Roman, for having me on the show. Thank you so much.
So please give IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart radio station an update since the last time you were on the drive.
Oh wow, it's been a while. It's been about, I want to say 2 years or so, maybe 2 or 3 years.
I beg to differ. You was here in our new studio.
Oh wow. Well, you know what? Well, then you'll have to update me. Last time I've been on the drive. Well, what's going on now is I've launched the book. Post having the main runway fashion show events, I started hosting African American history programs in conjunction with the DeSable Museum of African American History, and I've been able to partner with like local community churches within the last year to host fashion shows. But now I am, as you mentioned, I have written a book, and I am happy to share this book with my fellow fashionistas in Chicago, especially within the African American community.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about your new book that is set to come out on February 5th. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's an African American fashion resource guide. So the book features stories, many blurbs and write-ups of interviews that I have conducted over the last, I would say, 5 to 6 years, in which I had the opportunity to interview Chicagoland African American owned fashion retail business owners. So this book features many blurbs, sneak peeks within inside of each store. The book features African American cafes and restaurants, Black-owned beauty supplies, Black-owned bookstores, cultural centers such as art galleries, museums, theater companies, in conjunction with all of the Chicagoland Black-owned fashion boutiques.
This book is not your average book. And it shows, because I got a chance to kind of like get a little sneak peek. It's historic as well. Describe to us about the historic nature about the book.
It's the first of its kind. After many years of just researching and following in the steps, I would like to say, of the late Eunice Johnson, founder of Ebony Fashion Fair. But after doing much research, I didn't see a book or a publication that highlighted specifically African American owned fashion retail brick and mortar stores, to be exact. So that was the initial concept behind the book. It will be the first of its kind. It is a tour guide book. I would like, everyone coming to Chicago, if they want to know where to shop Black, they will be able to use my book as a reference guide in order to go and tour these fashion, beauty, and art cultural businesses here in Chicago. So it is really the first of its kind, and it does feature other boutiques nationally as well. As a little bonus that I added in case Chicagoans are looking to travel outside of the state, the city, they can use my resource guide to shop Black-owned stores on the East Coast, West Coast, and in the South.
Wow. You provide a layout tour of boutiques around Chicago that is Black-owned and operated. Why is it important to the fashion community to shop at Black-owned and operated boutiques that has Black designers in it? Tell us about that.
It's very important, Roman, because it's a way of really stimulating the dollars within the African American community. This is a way for us to also support, especially with all of the Black Lives Matter, where we are in a global pandemic. It's important and vital that we serve and we support our African American businesses and to keep our businesses afloat in a time like this. So I think it's important for us to unify and to begin to patronize all of our businesses within our communities.
I'm gonna be straightforward to you with you if I can. Let's say I'm a black owned fashion designer from Chicago. A lot of people say I'm just dumbfounded. I don't know. So what information in the book will provide me a sense of getting my designs featured in Black Fashion Week or even on a rack of a boutique?
I think the guide itself is serves as a open door for a potential fashion designer, especially one of African American designer. Just knowing where the store is, and within my guide, I have itemized each store by product category. So some of the stores are upscale fashion, couture fashion boutiques. Some of them are what we call everyday value stores. So if I'm a designer and I have a specific product that I am looking to, target and sell within in a brick and mortar store, they can use my guide because it's itemized and it's categorized by the different types of fashion. So men's fashion, women's fashion, whether it's kids, vintage, or whether it's a resale store. So just knowing which boutique to actually target, because when you're a designer you have to have a target market. So I think this book will definitely help them pinpoint to whom they need to target to in order to get their products in the door of that particular retail.
Now, what lesson or lessons you have learned about Chicago fashion community while writing this book?
There's the lessons I've learned. That's a very good question, Roman. I've learned a lot of historical lessons. Some of these boutique owners that I've had the opportunity to interview with, there are what I consider a few legacy boutiques in the guide, meaning they've been around for 50, 60 years and they've actually paved the way. So they were around when the Ebony Fashion Fair was starting, and they had the opportunity to work with them. I learned that certain boutiques where, for example, there's a men's store in the men's shoe store listed in the publication that is the only and one of few African American shoe stores in the country, or one of the only few African American furriers, fur clothing stores within the publication. So I learned a lot of historical background behind some of the boutique owners and how they got started and what has kept them in business for such a long time.
I know you're not going to play, don't want to play favorites. I know that, for example. But what you mentioned historic, and one of the lessons of history, which boutique that you have learned the most that says, oh, wow, I didn't know?
Now, I'm giving away a little bit of one of the stores when I do this, but that's a very because there's like a handful of them. And one of the boutique owners that I consider to be a legacy boutique owner passed away of COVID this year. So it really hit me very hard because he passed away the day before my birthday, and I really didn't know. But he was one of very few Black jewelry designers. He had the opportunity to design for Spiegel catalogs and various different women catalogs when the age of catalogs and direct marketing books and direct selling books were popular, the J.C. Penney catalogs and things of that sort. So being an African American jewelry designer, a metalsmith, being able to make the jewelry from scratch was like, wow, it was just amazing to hear his, to really hear his story and how he got started as a Black jewelry artist.
What about you yourself? What about I don't think I know you want to I know at times you do you're humbled. You're very humble. There's a sense of you created something that I don't think people don't really grasp, that you created something that, or a niche, or something that kind of like just blew up, and now it's kind of like it's in writing. So I asked this question to my guests before, and I'll ask this to you. If Melody Boykin right now can be defined, what you want people to know about Melody Boykin legacy in the fashion community?
I would like people to know that I am a fashion historian, and that I am a cultural gatekeeper. That is my newfound motto, purpose, is being a cultural gatekeeper in the Black African American fashion industry for years to come. I want them to say, hey, she documented, she archived the runway of fashion designers, so that our future kids can look back and see the history of Blacks in the history of fashion. I think the term cultural gatekeeper is, or fashion African American fashion gatekeeper is, that's what I would like to be remembered for. The most is documenting the history and being able to inform, promote, and connect others within the African American fashion industry.
I know Fashion Week, Black Fashion Week, is near and dear to your heart, and the situation giving COVID-19. But you put some alternative fillers out there, and you don't mind giving us one of those alternative fillers that fashion designers, because you did virtual fashion shows, um, so forth and so on. I think a couple of months back. Have you?
We're working on the virtual fashion platform, but what I've been doing is working with local fashion boutiques and creating commercials. So I've done a few that haven't been released yet, and we do have a few that we're in the process of filming so that I can air it virtually during Black Fashion Week next month. So that's really what I've been doing, and then creating just print products like ebooks of that sort, and also posting about designers via social media digitally to continue to highlight African American designers.
So can you give me, and I know I'm prying here, so give us a little sneak preview of Black Fashion Week that's coming up this year.
So the sneak preview would be the virtual showcase that I mentioned, being able to air that live, and then just working on some other virtual business of fashion panel discussions, because we've had those in the past. So I am pivoting to offer a online virtual workshop, virtual business of fashion panel discussion, so that those who are aspiring to have a brick and mortar business would be able to tune into our expert speakers, people who have actually had businesses within the fashion industry, and who can offer advice to those who want to start their own brick and mortar business. So those are a few things that we are working to virtually, market for the fashion industry.
If I'm a fashion designer and I'm reading your book and I want to attend the virtual, what and some of the workshops, which workshop that you will recommend for a beginner that's designing, want to put their stuff out there?
If they are a fashion designer and they're reading the book, one, they're gonna get a conglomerate business listing of where of potential brick and mortars that they can potentially target their own products to. But if they're a fashion designer, some of the workshops for a beginner, would be one, defining what type of merchandise in the industry of the fashion industry that they want to be a part of, like deciding who they're going to design for would be a workshop. And then things that I've done in the past is like fabric sourcing, where to buy fabric, things of that sort. Are you going to be a designer, a custom wear designer? Or are you going to be a mass producer, mass marketing products where you're going to be manufacturing your products? Because those are really basically the two types of fashion designers or the fashion industry: those who are mass producing and those who are custom designing their clothes. So that would be the first thing that a person who wanted to go into the fashion industry, that would be one of the first things that they would need to decide in their career.
I know if I'm reading this book, what is the number one thing you want me to learn while reading the book, going through the tours? And it's kind of like sometimes when you talk to an author of a book, it's like sometimes, oh man, I forgot to highlight this or highlight that. So anything that you want people out there on intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station to really get a feel once they get your book, where to turn to really grasp about your book?
I think I want them to grasp the unique stories. I want them to feel like they've actually visit the store without ever stepping a foot into the store. So literally, by reading about each store and learning about the business owner, the owner of that store, that they would, feel one, persuaded and connected. Like, I've got to get to this store. I want to see what they have in this store. I want to, be able to shop this particular store. So that is what I want people to really, they're fun stories. And the other thing is that no two boutiques within this publication is alike ever. Even if they're in the same merchandise category, like upscale, each store's atmosphere is different. It gives you a different vibe when you go into that store. So that's the cool thing about it. You get to see the unique and creativity of the different boutique owners. And then lastly, this book is a savings book. Like, where else can you buy a directory or a tour guide that's going to allow you to save money while shopping? Because when you purchase my book, at least 90% of the stores that are written about in this book is going to offer a first-time shopper's discount when you have my book. So when you purchase my book, it's like a gift with a gift. You're going to be able to go to that store or even go online and enter the code and get a first-time shopper's discount for touring that store and buying and patronizing and shopping with that particular boutique. So, and it's a book for everyone. That's the last thing I want to know. Whether you're a man or a woman shopping for your wife or your husband or even your entire family, there's stores in the book that carry kids' clothing. It's a book for the entire African American family with a fashion glossary, with a body figure chart for women. These are extra bonuses I put into the book as well. So yeah, people, when they're reading the book, they're going to learn something there. They're going to learn about their body figure type. Like, oh my God, I've been dressing for the wrong body figure type. I need to be wearing this particular clothes for my body figure type. Especially growing up if you grew up in a community or a household where you weren't, fashion was not the top priority in your household. Getting a Vogue magazine or Elle magazine was not the top priority in your head. So you were not on top of fashion terminology. You're not on top of the image, your personal image. So with my book, I'm educating and informing the communities, everyone, fashionistas or not, about basic fashion terminology, fabrics, what is fabrics, what is cotton, people don't know. So now they'll be able to read the book and have a grasp and understanding of what these terms mean when they're out shopping and reading the garment label of their clothing.
So we're running out of time. Thank you for joining us. Please give intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station where they can get a hold of you and where they can purchase the book.
Yay! So you guys can purchase the book on Amazon the day that it releases. You can pre-order your copy now at Black Fashion Week, USA.com/boutique guide, or just simply go to the site and look for the shop page, and you'll be able to also purchase the book and purchase a merchandise that is related to the Shop the Little Black Boutique Guide movement. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Black Fashion Week USA.
All right. Don't be a stranger to the Drive at 5. It's always a pleasure having you. Thanks a lot. That's going to do it for the Drive at 5 on intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station. Thanks to Earl Winfrey, our executive producer. Wonder who's behind the scenes leaving us out of here for the week is Jay Rockwell. Be blessed. Have a great week, everyone.
Tell the boy he blessed. That's right. That's right. That's right. Tell the girl she blessed. That's right. That's right. That's right. Tell somebody they blessed. That's right. That's right. Yeah, hug somebody. Don't it feel alright? Don't it feel alright? If you can feel your body move, hey, trust me, it's the God in you. Trying to come alive, come alive. Get up, stand up, no more feeling dead inside. The time is when, right now, right now, right now. The devil loose, he want me and you, right now, right now, right now. That devil love what he can't have. That's right. I say them devils love what they can't have. Devils love